This video will show you how you can search for patterns in your data by using a matrix coding query. Matrix coding queries help you explore patterns in your coding. This means that you must have a good foundation of coding for the results to be meaningful. So, you will need to make sure that your coding is accurate, thorough, and consistent. Remember, rubbish in, rubbish out. A node you have created to represent a theme does not contain all relevant material in your data, only the relevant material you have found and coded to the node. This does not mean that you need to have done all of your coding before running matrix queries. As you do your coding and reflect on the data, you are getting hunches and insights into possible patterns in your data. You should write these up in memos as you get your ideas, and these insights lead to possible queries you may want to run to check your ideas. Think of coding, reflecting in memos, and running queries as an iterative process. Suppose I'd like to see how attitudes towards real estate development differ among different groups of people. I'd like to compare people whose families have lived in the area 3 or more generations to those who have lived in the area for only 2 or 1 generation. We have this information stored in an attribute of our cases. Let's return to the Explore ribbon and choose Matrix Coding Query. With the Matrix Coding Query dialog box open, we'll first set up the rows of the matrix. I will click on the plus button underneath the rows area and then click Select Items. I will choose Case Classifications. I click to expand the Person classification and then click to expand Generations down east. I tick the boxes for 3 or more generations, 2 and 1, and then click OK. Next, we'll set up the columns of our matrix. I'll click on the plus sign under the columns area and click Select Items, and this time highlight the Nodes folder. I'll click to expand the Attitude nodes, and then tick the boxes for positive, neutral, negative, and mixed. Then click OK. I can change the order of the columns by clicking on the arrows. I'm going to make positive the first column. Before I run this query, I'd like to restrict the results to show me only attitudes about real estate development, so I click on the option Selected Items. And under Select Project Items, I once again highlight the Nodes folder. And I then tick the box for the Real Estate Development node. Then click OK. I have now set up my query. I'll click Run Query to see the matrix display. You might first ask, what are we counting in these cells? By default, we're viewing the number of coding references. By right-clicking in the matrix, though, we can change that. We might want to see the number of people represented in each cell, so we change the content to Cases Coded and choose to see only cases classified as person. You'll also see these options under Cell Content in the Matrix Contextual ribbon. Regardless of the count we're using in the cells, we can double-click a cell to see the coded content. Exactly what were the negative views expressed about real estate development by residents 3 or more generations down east? From here, I can return to my memos to write about what the data are telling me about my hunches. Do I have evidence to support them now? Has this raised new questions for new queries? Or maybe something is revealed in the content I read here that sends me back to do more coding. As with any query, I can return to the query area on the Explore ribbon, and I can choose Last Run Query. Then I can choose Add to Project to save the search terms. This could be a useful query to return to if I have more data to import or code, so I'll save it. I'll need to run the query again to see those new results, but I can easily do this by going to the Queries folder. In here, I can locate the saved query and then double-click to run. I might like to save the results this time. You can do this by right-clicking when the matrix result is displayed and then select Store Query Results. By default, this will be stored in the Results folder, but I do get the choice to save in the Node Matrices folder, so I have all my matrix coding results stored together. Later, I might export the matrix for presentation, or export the contents of a cell to include quotes in a presentation or a Word document to share with fellow researchers. Did you notice the Charts tab when viewing results? Click here to view the results in a more visual way, and this of course can be exported. Now it's time for you to run some matrix queries.